Hi guys, and welcome to Jessie Tries It. Today is a special video. I'm going to introduce to you little baby Chloe, my Christmas baby. She's very happy to meet you. We're trying to feed. So in today's video, I'm basically going to share my labor and delivery story. It was natural and unmedicated, so I'm very thankful for that, and it was a really positive experience. So Chloe's due date was December 15th, and I don't know why, but I had this gut feeling while I was pregnant that I was going to give birth either on the 15th or sometime before. That's not at all what ended up happening. I ended up going 10 days late, so over a week overdue. That was a very interesting experience. So about 6 days past my due date, I started experiencing my very first contractions, and these were the beginnings of prodromal labor, or in other words, false labor. It was really rough because it felt just like the real thing, except that the contractions could go on for a full day and a full night, but they wouldn't get anywhere, and then they would just stop. They would be inconsistent. These kinds of contractions feel like intense period cramps, and you can literally see and feel the tummy getting tight and just squeezing. It's a very interesting sensation, and yeah, it gets pretty intense. So after that first day, they went away, and my midwife checked me, and I dilated to 1 centimeter, and I really wasn't getting anywhere. The contractions stopped, and then for 2 days I had a break where there were no contractions at all. I felt completely normal again, but at the same time I was just hoping that she was gonna come soon because she was just getting bigger and bigger, and I was getting kind of uncomfortable. So on December 23rd is when the contractions started to come back. And at this point we were doing everything we could to try to make sure that Chloe was born before Christmas, because anyone who's born on Christmas knows how difficult it is to have to share your birthday on Christmas. Your friends are all busy celebrating the holidays or going out of state. So we were just kind of hoping that she wouldn't be born on Christmas, but she had other plans. So at this point we were taking a ton of walks, I was eating spicy food, basically trying everything that was recommended to induce labor naturally. And I was also visiting my midwife frequently, and she did a couple of cervical sweeps on me. Those things are intense and they hurt really, really bad. But yeah, she was trying to help me out, and so eventually the contractions came back on the 23rd, and I think they went away again. No, this time they stayed, but they were inconsistent. They kept getting closer and closer together, like 3 minutes, and then they would suddenly jump to 9 minutes, 14 minutes, and then stop for an hour and then come back again. It was very, very inconsistent. So at this point I visited my PT, and she gave me the circuit training exercises for pregnancy. Basically these exercises are intended to help the baby to drop and engage in the pelvis. They're meant to open the pelvis up, and those really worked for me. So I did those for a couple of days, and I could feel her moving off of my pelvic bone, which at that point was really hurting, and she dropped. Yeah. Christmas Eve comes around, and I was still having contractions, but they were just so far apart. I decided I was going to go ahead and cook Christmas dinner early on Christmas Eve, just because I felt like this was probably going to be the last supper before it happened. So we took a long walk in the neighborhood, and I felt like she had dropped really low, and after that we went to Safeway to go get some stuff for dinner, and there was a super long line for the self-checkout, and that's when I felt her completely drop. Like, she got low, and it was so hard for me to stand in line. I just remember that. So that was Christmas Eve, and that night was really rough. I think I was up all night timing contractions because they were so intense. I was rocking in the rocking chair, laying in the bed. When I would lay in the bed, that's when the contractions were worse, like just trying to sleep through them. They just got really painful. They even made me tear up a little bit. And then the next day we had an appointment on Christmas Day to see my midwife, and she checked me, and whoa, I was finally at 5 centimeters. So I was really excited because at that point I was able to stay at the birthing center and be checked in. From there, they just let me go ahead and walk around the place and labor in my usual way for about 1.5 to 2 hours. My contractions just never got really consistent. They stayed far apart, and yeah, it was just really slow. So we talked about breaking my water, and eventually my midwife broke my water. That was a really interesting experience because I didn't realize how warm the water was gonna be, and it didn't hurt actually to have it broke, so that was nice. One of the issues was that my cervix was super high. It was like way up there. It was so hard for my midwife to get to it, to try to adjust things and get it going, but eventually she was able to pull it down, which hurt so bad. But all these things worked together, and finally the contractions became consistent. I was so nervous because I'll know a lot of ladies, their water breaks and they still have like 2 days before things pick up and they actually have their baby. I was hoping that that wasn't going to happen to me, and fortunately, right after the water broke, the contractions were just right on top of each other, and it became really intense. It was very painful. I was really exhausted already from the night prior, from being up all night. I couldn't sit because she was so low, it just wasn't comfortable. So my position for laboring was standing. I would just wrap my arms around my husband and just squeeze the hand, and I also would just lean on one of the midwives. And then eventually they filled up the hot tub and I was able to labor in there for maybe 4 hours. So that was really nice. I highly recommend it. Just the heat of the water is really soothing, but also just the buoyancy, like it carries, it lifts up your body, like you just relax in there as much as possible. Yeah, that was an interesting experience. If I had any tips during the laboring process, it would be just breathing. Just concentrate on your breaths. My midwife shared with me that if you continually raise your voice higher and higher, it actually makes it so it's less productive for the cervix to dilate. So I just was basically panting like a horse, like the whole time. And I know that sounds silly, and it sounded really silly to me, but it really worked. Just staying focused on how I was breathing, doing that through all the contractions was very helpful. Another thing is it's very mental. Like my whole life, pain has been something to tell me to stop whatever it is that I'm doing. But when it comes to labor, you have to remember that this kind of pain is a good thing. Something good is happening. It doesn't need to stop. So it's a very big mental component. I could definitely feel all the prayers of people praying for us for the labor. Instead of telling myself that I couldn't do it when I felt hopeless, like I was getting nowhere, I would just pray really hard, and God definitely gave me strength. And the midwife also prayed over me, which was really a cool experience. And by the time I got in the tub, my mom arrived, so that was nice, and both her and my husband were just so peaceful and so calming and so supportive. It really made the whole experience peaceful as much as it could possibly be. So when it was finally time to push, I believe I pushed 30 or more times, and I pushed for about an hour, and the entire laboring process took a total of 8 hours. So the hours just flew by. It felt like eternity, and it felt like it flew by at the same time. It was a really weird experience. So I got to push on the bed, and eventually I labored and pushed on the toilet because there was a bar there that I could hold on to. Just trying to squeeze the baby's head smaller so that it could come out. And then eventually I started pushing on the bed again, and one midwife was holding one leg and my husband was holding the other. I was pushing up against them, and my mom was holding a pillow behind my head so that I could double over and give like a mighty push. The method that we used was to count from 10 all the way down to 1, and I had to hold my breath for 10 seconds and push, like basically do nothing but push. And that was a really funny memory because my husband was counting from 10 to 1 seconds for me, and he got so distracted by the baby's head coming out that he would forget to count sometimes, and I'm holding my breath the whole time. So finally I was like, babe, can you please count faster? So that was a really funny memory. Yeah, I'm never gonna forget that. So yeah, pushing was much better than laboring. It was a much better experience. I became like my old self. I started smiling when it came time to push because it was such an empowering feeling. Like, the contractions still hurt, but I was working with the contractions, and that's a very different feeling. Like, you can feel everything. You can feel the progress. You can feel the baby's body coming out. You know that relief is just seconds away, or an hour away basically. So that just really, you just get like this huge wave of adrenaline, and yeah, it's really cool. So I definitely enjoyed pushing with the contractions so much better. And then it was really cool because as the baby's head came out, my husband got to catch the baby, and it was a neat experience for him because up till that moment he was a little afraid of babies and how fragile they were, but being able to see how the midwife grabbed the baby and pulled the baby out, he realized that they're a little bit more durable than before, so he was really confident with her when she was born. But yeah, that was an extremely amazing moment. I believe women call it the ring of fire at the very end when the baby's head comes out. Very, very painful. I could feel all the ripping and everything. And I remember just screaming my head off as I'm giving the last 3 pushes. It was intense, but at the same time, it was like an out-of-body experience. Like, I literally felt like I left my body at that point. It was just like watching everything happen. It was really weird. I was there, but I wasn't there at the same time. And yeah, I felt her whole body come out, and then just instant relief. It was so nice. What an amazing moment. And at the same time, they put this slimy little warm body on my chest, and there was this beautiful baby, and they put this nice hot blanket on top of us, and she was just crying this loud, healthy, beautiful cry, and she pooped on me. Yeah, big poop. And I was able to breastfeed her right away, and they took her and cleaned her some more and put her in some warm clothes, and what a beautiful, beautiful moment, and what a beautiful baby. Most babies have a big cone head and they're really puffy when they're born. She was red and puffy, but she was just a beautiful baby. And right away, her personality was just so sweet. She's such an easygoing baby, so patient. Yeah, not what we were expecting. Oh, and this whole time I was expecting a 6.5-pound baby, and she weighed a whopping 9 pounds and 5 ounces, so almost 9.5 pounds. So that was super crazy. If I had known that I was pushing out a 9-pounder, I don't know if I would have done this without medication. But I did it, and that's surreal for a very first baby to be so big. But you know, she was 10 days past her due date, so overcooked, I guess. But yeah, so that's how it went down. 8-hour labor. Would I do it again? Yes. I think the day that I gave birth to her, I was thinking maybe 5 years from now, but it's been like 11 days since I had her, and I don't know, I feel like I could do it again next year. It's amazing how quickly you forget. So it's not too traumatic. So in future videos, I'm probably going to share with you guys just postpartum recovery and maybe some tips and tricks that I'm using to raise a newborn. There's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of responsibility and just stuff that I've learned, and I think it would be really beneficial to share on this platform.
This sure is like
Trying to fix it.
Chloe.
Like that?
There we go.
Thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see future content and updates. We will see you guys in the next one. Bye!